Hi everyone, welcome back to another lightsaber hilt video. This time it's the Roman Props MPP with the black sidebar and the wires for Darth Vader's Empire Strikes Back hilt. I've done a video on this before when I assembled it and put all the parts together, so I won't be going through everything in terms of conversion, but what I wanted to do was just talk a little bit about the weathering that I did to make it match the post-production photos. So essentially there's really two ways that you could do your Darth Vader hilt, and both are perfectly fine because there aren't many good reference pictures from the movie itself. A lot of people just leave it as it is, so it looks shiny and brand new, and just put the grips and the wires and stuff and call it a day, and that's perfect. That's what I had for a long time, but at some point I fancied a little bit of a change, and the really clear pictures are taken from post-production, so years after of the filming, and with those pictures you can see a lot of damage and rust. So what I did, let me try to focus this because it's not very clear because of the lighting. Now you can see here how much rust, I'll talk about that in a minute, there is on the shroud. And the way to do that is, obviously this is a Onawanga shroud. It's one of Onawanga's steel shrouds. That will come with a stencil. You apply the stencil and you paint the black areas, and then when you remove, these areas that are now brown are just steel. They're unpainted. So what I did was I tried to rust it naturally, and if you do that, I'm sure it'll look even better than mine. Unfortunately, I couldn't do that because I had forgotten that I painted this a long time ago and I clear coated it. So these exposed areas were now covered in clear coat, and there was no way for them to oxidize and rust naturally. So that was a shame, but I didn't want to remove the clear coat and the paint and start from scratch. I didn't want to do that, to be honest. So all I did was I just painted these areas brown, different shades of brown, some lighter, some darker, just to kind of make it look a little bit more natural. And I just left it at that, really. I also a few blots here and there on the D-ring, on the thumb screw, just to kind of make it all match, make it look like it's been rusted. The more random it is, the more natural it'll tend to look. But, you know, if you haven't clear coated like I have, I would encourage you to try to rust it naturally. And for that, you just probably soak it in some salt water and leave it outside for a few days. And that should do it. Okay, did nothing over here. This is all exactly the same as how it was. And in terms of post-production, these nicks and scratches here were on the clamp, just to make it all match. The other change that I had to do was the grips. So the grips have these tiny screws on either side of each of the tracks, and that's a post-production addition. These were added after filming. So I bought these from Onawanga, and they're a set of 12. And first of all, I cut them down, just cut the heads off with Dremel, but they were silver and they need to be black for this. So I just painted them black, tried to scratch them up a little bit, scuff them so they don't look nice and shiny. And then I just used the source material and glued one on either side, and I paid attention to each track and how the screw is oriented. I could find almost all of them. Out of the 12, I think I found pictures of 8 or 9 of them, just to match the orientation of how the screw is, because sometimes it's sort of diagonally like that, sometimes it's straight across, and I wanted it to be accurate to the pictures. So I looked at each individual one, tried to match it, and glued it on. And last but not least, that grip over here, grip number 3, if you're counting from the clamp, I'm moving this way, 1, 2, 3, has a large crack. And that was very easy to do. You just make a line with a marker and just cut it off with a Dremel to finish it up. And then I reattach grips with a grip guide and some double-sided tape. The longest grip, 107, has to be the one in the middle here. That goes right up against the clamp. The other ones are a millimeter shorter, about 106, and they touch the edge of the clamp there. Final kind of details was just weathering the grips themselves. Random nicks, scratches and marks here and there. You can use a pair of scissors or a screwdriver or any sharp object. Don't overdo it, because then it will look more obvious. But just enough to make it look like the grip is not shiny and new, because that will contrast with the rest of the hilt. I hope this is focused and you can see some of these marks that I'm talking about. And again on the pommel, a few scratches here and there. That's really it in terms of Darth Vader's Empire Strikes Back post-production look. It's mostly scratches, nicks, marks here all over the clamp, the bars, that cracked grip number 3, and the grip screws, and the rusted or painted shroud. That will complete the look for the post-production ESB. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.